Hello there, RosterWatch Nation. It's Trashman. Here to run an Underdog Ball Mania 3 draft with our proprietary best ball cheat sheet. So I'm going to go on to UnderdogFantasy.com. Click on their Best Ball Mania 3 link. Let me just make sure that you guys can see this. Got to do some privacy thing on my computer. So there I'm on UnderdogFantasy.com in their lobby. I'm going to click on Best Ball Mania 3. Basic tournament info. We're going to have 30 seconds per pick, not 8 hours per pick. It'll be like the Joe Rogan podcast. Okay, so we're waiting for 8 people. If you're there and you're watching and feel like joining in the draft, you're welcome to do so. In fact, I invite you to do so. Could be a lot of fun. Could be a little fun. But while we're waiting, let's just talk a little bit about drafting for best ball. And using our best ball cheat sheet. You may have to deviate from the sheet at times to make sure you get all the quotas filled. And knowing the trash man, I'm probably going to deviate regardless of the situation. Also, stacking quarterbacks with their wide receivers is encouraged in large field tournaments like this. So if you've already drafted a quarterback or wide receiver you like, feel free to slightly deviate from the sheet. If it allows you to generate combinations that include a quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, 2 wide receivers, or quarterback, wide receiver, tight end connection on the same NFL team, which will help you to correlate your scoring across positions. If you are joining, use promo code ROSTER for 100% deposit bonus up to $100 when making your first deposit on Underdog Fantasy. They're an official best ball partner of RosterWatch, so be sure to do that. Be sure to do that when you join in. So now we're just waiting for 5 people. Hopefully, as you guys file in, you join in too. This is actually my first solo best ball draft on UnderdogFantasy.com. I did one with Alex last week when I was in Sarasota visiting Byron, going out on the boat, hanging out at the beach. Alex missed out on that, so he made me come to a pod where we do, drafted a team in this Best Ball Mania 3 contest. So we're still waiting for 5 people. It's not great for radio, not great for podcasts waiting for these kind of things, but it's just the nature of the beast. And I guess it's kind of early for some people. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how long it takes for this draft to fill up. And like I said, if you're watching, feel free to come and participate on UnderdogFantasy.com. Love to draft with you, chat with you while we're in this draft. Feel free to ask questions, make comments about how you're feeling about how this draft is going as well. Make sure to check out some of our other content that we have on RosterWatch.com right now too. I just updated our dynasty rankings. We have an update coming up. Hopefully I think it's already posted. A lot of Paris Campbell over these last couple weeks. He's been making waves there in Indianapolis. Hopefully I can get him in this draft. Still waiting for 5 people to join. So I'm interested to know too, some of you who have maybe been doing some of these best ball drafts, who are some guys that you're coming across with regularity that you may not want to? Be good information to know, and kind of formulating some of these future best ball sheets. We got one more waiting for 4 now. 2/3 of the way there. I'm getting kind of excited, getting kind of nervous, actually. We only have 30 seconds to make these picks. And so make sure, too, if you are joining in on this draft, to go to rosterwatch.com and download the Ultimate Best Ball cheat sheet to do this draft, and really any other best ball draft. It's going to help you out a lot. This sheet in particular is for use in 12-team calf drafts and tournaments like Ball Mania 3, like the one we're on now, or the puppy. Haven't tried out the puppy. I'm guessing all this Underdog Fantasy content on their site is affiliated with canines in some way. Oh no, so I think we got a couple people drop out. So now we're waiting for 6. Hopefully, they fill this up pretty soon. Don't want to have those of you watching out there waiting in the lurch too long. Hey, Johannes. Is that how you say your name? Did I get it right? Thanks for joining. We're just waiting in the lobby for this Best Ball 3 draft for more players to join. I think maybe it's a bit early for a lot of people. It's just us degenerates playing fantasy. Johannes. Okay. Haven't heard that name before. It's cool. You should join the draft if you're able to. Still looking for about 6 people. Uh-oh, waiting for 4 now. Johannes, it's a witch's name. Are you a good witch? Did you join on to this draft, or did some other random people join on? A couple people just joined. Gray witch. So I'm guessing that's somewhere between a white witch and a black witch, something in between. Could be good and bad, huh? Still waiting to get this draft started. Waiting for 4 people. Joanna says her neighbor suggested the name to your mom. You think she was a witch? What made you think she was a witch? It's an interesting story, actually. It seems like. I don't know any other Joannes's, but I do know a Janice, and she was my best friend's mom, and she kind of was a witch. So maybe you're onto something there. All right. Still waiting for 4 people to join this UnderdogFantasy.com Best Ball Mania 3 draft. If you're out there and you're hesitant, reticent about joining up, give it a shot. Why not? I guess Joannis and I will talk about witches until this thing gets started. yeah, feel free to comment, join in, ask questions while this thing is going. Oh, now we're waiting for 5 people again. People keep coming in and dropping out. We can't get to critical mass here. What do I teach? I teach a few things actually. I teach psychology mostly. Um, I teach psychology at a little private university here in Austin. Um, Mainly, well, I went to school for developmental psychology, so child psychology really, but I teach really anything they ask of me. I teach abnormal psych, industrial and organizational psychology, um, learning and cognition, perception, memory. I don't know. I've taught a slew of psychology classes, but I also teach music classes as well. It's kind of how RosterWatch got started is through music. Alex and I used to be in a band together um, when we were in college, and we would watch football on the weekends with our friend Byron, and we played fantasy together, and it just kind of turned into what it is. What do I think about IQ testing? Um, it's one of those things where you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I think there are some things that are not so great about IQ testing and that need to be worked on and improved, but um, there are some aspects of it as well that really do kind of um, display an individual's ability to make decisions about their future and problem solving. So I don't know. There's good and bad with IQ testing, like any other sort of testing, really. All right, so now we're just waiting for a couple people in this draft. So it's just Joannis and me talking right now. If you have any other comments or questions about this draft or really anything, um, feel free to join in. I'd love to hear from you. So Joannis has been asking him about my teaching. Just telling you, yeah, I teach psychology. I also teach music. I teach drums. That's what I played in the band that I played with Alex. He's a bass player. I was the drummer. So I teach some drumming now. I also teach some ukulele um, for little kids if I ever feel like it. Have I ever taken what? An IQ test? Yeah. I mean, I guess if you, I guess if you, I mean, if you're including like the SATs in that or the PSATs. Yeah, drums are fun. Um, Joanna is saying she loves drums. I love them too. It's kind of a necessity in my life. It has been for a long time, although I started playing by accident. Oh, waiting for one person right now. Um, your favorite instrument are the drums and human voice. Yeah, I would have to say probably for me, human voice and maybe I actually really like the cello and the French horn. I think those are two really beautiful instruments. The drums I love to play. I don't know if I love to hear the drums as much as I love to play them. Joanna is saying she sings, but not a technical singer. I'm not a technical singer either. All right, draft is starting in 45 seconds. I'm drafting out of the 11 spot. So hopefully, if you're out there watching, that you joined in. Your favorite piece is the Camille Saint-Saëns. Join us. Yeah, I love Camille Saint-Saëns. I listened to a lot of classical music before I started playing drums. All right, the draft is underway. First off the board, Cooper Kupp. Huh. It's going quickly. All right, a few more picks before me. I'm hoping I can get maybe a Travis Kelce. I think that Kelce might be the one consistent fantasy outlet in Kansas City this season. I think it's going to be up and down for everybody else on a weekly basis. We'll see. Oh, where you going? All right, so no more Kelce. Let's see here. Who do I want then? Maybe. Oh, it's me. Cheat sheet says. Oh, we got to go with Dalvin Cook here, y'all. So there, I like it. Dalvin Cook at the 11th spot. It's going to come back to me really quickly, too. Right. Who am I going to take with that next pick? I think it's going to be for me. I think it's going to be CeeDee Lamb. Unless Jay Liz takes him out of my cold, icy grip. Hopefully, I can get CeeDee Lamb. As you may already know, if you've been a part of or a member of RosterWatch Nation for a long time, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, for better or worse. So there we have it. CeeDee Lamb, my next pick. All right, so it's going to be a minute before it gets back around to me. If anybody else is playing in this draft, let me know. I'd like to. I'd like to see how you're drafting and what you think about this draft so far. So who I've drafted so far, it's been Dalvin Cook, and then CeeDee Lamb. So that's a pretty good way to start any draft, best ball or otherwise. Yeah, I would say solid so far, Joannis. With these drafts, so really with any draft, my favorite part of the draft is always the later rounds. I feel like that's really when you get, differentiate from other teams. I think that's how you win fantasy leagues is by creating depth. Well, the best ball, it's slightly different just in that, they automatically set your best lineup, but it's important to have depth there too, because you want to be able to have some really good lineups or some options for a good lineup. Hairsoft Fatty, that's a funny name. Airsoft, I think it's they make BB guns, right? So with my next pick, we've only made two so far, so I think I'm not really going to discriminate on the position that I'm getting yet. But like I said prior to the draft, it's a good thing in these large field type tournaments to stack teams where you can. So maybe if I see, a quarterback that would mesh with either the players that have already drafted, I might, go out of the way to draft them. Joanna said, "Life is weird right now." Huh? Yeah, it is. Um, I don't know. Life is always weird. It's just I think life is um, amplified right now, and and we can see so much more of it. Crazy things are always happening. We're just more privy to it now, and we see it with our own eyes. We see it through the eyes of others in their phones and through the media. It's just it's makes it seem that much more intense. But we're looking for silver linings, right? Okay. So I got my pick coming up in one. Okay, and I'm up. All right. According to the best ball sheet, I think Michael Pittman is going to be the move here. Oh, did I get him? Did I get him quick enough? Yes. Okay, so just a couple more picks. I'm going to set up my next pick if I can. Let's see. Cheat sheet is saying here. I think I'm going to go with Zeke with this next one if I can. Zeke Didn't have the season we all wanted him to last year. Hopefully, he goes into the season a little bit more healthy. And I like the Zeke pick to stack some of these Cowboys players. Like I said, it's always good to stack in these large field tournaments. So I'm going to go ahead and take Zeke there. All right. Yeah, so Joannis, a lot is changing. Yeah, the pain we feel right now is for something beautiful at the end. Yeah, I think so. I think, a lot of the pain that we go through and feel, a lot of the experiences we have, they make the good things that happen in life that much more meaningful to us. Yeah, but being down here in Texas, it's been an interesting last week or two. I always try to put things into perspective. Okay, so the team I have right now: running backs, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Pittman. This is a killer team so far, if I may say so myself. So in order to fill out the starting lineup, I think I might go to quarterback or tight end next. So what part of the world are you in, Joannis? And let me know those of you that have joined this draft or watching this draft. Let me hear from you. I'd love to hear from you about where you're joining us from. Join us. You're in California. Where in California are you? Still got quite a few picks before me again. But like I said, the team that we have right now, it's looking pretty good. Your Central Coast here, Santa Barbara, beautiful. Almost got arrested in Santa Barbara once. Not for anything, anything too bad. I was jaywalking actually. I didn't know you couldn't jaywalk. I didn't know you couldn't walk across the street in Santa Barbara. But I was there with a friend of mine. He was in the Navy. It's my buddy Tom. We grew up together. We did a road trip from Seattle down to San Diego when we were like 21, 22. And we stopped in Santa Barbara one night, went to just go see what was happening there. And we were crossing the street and we got stopped by the cops. And for jaywalking. But me, I don't know. I don't know if you've seen me, interact with people, if you see me talk often, I'm kind of a very even keeled, kind of calm person. And some people can take that as, me being under the influence of, certain, uh, certain, of maybe a certain plant, which is actually kind of funny because I don't really mess around with it, but I'm pretty even keeled, pretty mellow. My mom's Jamaican, so I don't know. People think that I'm high a lot, and this cop thought I was high. when I was jaywalking. So he kind of gave me a little bit of trouble, but Tom talked him down. All right, I'm up again. Let's see here. Any good quarterbacks or tight ends? I'm just going to go ahead and get Dak. So we can get that stack. And back to me again. Okay, so I'm going to go for tight ends here. Let's see who cheat sheet likes. They actually like, well, they like Hawkinson. I like Schultz maybe a little bit more than that, but I don't know. I feel like the stack is maybe a little bit too much there. So I'm going to go with Hawkinson here. Oh, it already picked for me. Oh, I got Rashad Penny. I wasn't quick enough to the draw. Bateman's fine, though. Looks like the leading receiver there in Baltimore this season. Jonas says I'm high right now. Yeah, I seem like I am a lot of the time. I don't know. I think maybe it's the Jamaican in me. It just kind of come off that way. Whatever chemicals, interactions are happening, they're happening a little bit more naturally in me. I don't know. But let's look back at the team we have so far. Dak Prescott at quarterback, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott at the running back positions, and then CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman, and Rashad Bateman as our receivers so far. Not a bad-looking team. Rashad Bateman, I think Marquise Brown leaving, it's a blessing and a curse. It kind of puts Bateman in the driver's seat as far as the receiving core there in Baltimore. But, Marquise Brown's a good distraction, for Bateman and, in relation to, other teams' defenders. And so a lot of attention is probably going to be put onto Bateman. But I think they're going to be able to move him around. I think they're going to be able to implement him in a lot of different ways. So I like the Bateman pick, even though it's not the one I would have necessarily wanted to make there. All right, so those of you that are joining, we're a little ways through this best ball 3 pick draft. Wide receivers, like I said, so far we have CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman, and Rashad Bateman. All number 1 options on their respective teams. Then Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott for our running backs. They may be a little bit injury prone, but, the upside is, is there. And then Dak Prescott at quarterback. Like you said, in these large field tournaments, we always kind of want to get a stack if we can. And so the Cowboys stack kind of lended itself to me. And I am a Cowboys homer, so it doesn't hurt that that's the way that I went with it. Is anybody else in here drafting in this draft? I'm curious. All right, so guys who are available now at this portion of the draft, a lot of guys that I'm not really crazy about, at least at the running back position. A.J. Dillon has some upside for sure. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not really bullish on. I feel like Ron Jones is going to steal some of his thunder there in KC. Then Miles Sanders has consistently been a disappointment in fantasy, though he is really talented. Okay, coming up to me soon. I'm going to take a tight end here if I can. Hopefully Hawkinson falls to me. Unless you're drafting with me and you hear me talking about how I hope Hawkinson falls to me. Tension is palpable. Will I get TJ Hawkinson? Oh, I think I will. And there we go. Drafted my first tight end. You know, I think here it's going to be hard for me to not take Matthew Stafford with this pick. I just think that it's the best bet there. And so I'm not going to worry about quarterbacks anymore. I'm solid there, super solid. Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford. Running backs, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott. Then we have CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman, and Rashad Bateman at receiver position, then TJ Hawkinson at tight end. Right now, I think my weakest position is probably tight end. I like TJ Hawkinson as a player. I just do not like the quarterback that he's attached to. But I think he's going to get a lot of targets, so I think he's going to be safe. But let's look at some other tight ends that are going to be available coming up. A lot left. Somebody who I'm, a little bit excited about, and if you read our last Dynasty Rankings update, you'll understand why. That's David Njoku, just signed a new major contract, makes him, top 5 in earnings for tight ends on average over the next few years. So I feel like Cleveland's really investing in him, and I feel like if, paired with Deshaun Watson, barring some kind of suspension for Watson, I think it could be a match made in heaven for Njoku and Watson. So he's going to be somebody I look out for in this draft. Any other tight ends I like that are available at this point? I mean, I feel like Albert O in Denver is going to be a good option too now with Russell Wilson under center. I feel like he's going to be one of the more consistent players and receivers in that offense, and I think he's got a lot of upside there. So let's look at some of the other positions, some of the other players who are going to be available, hopefully coming out. The receiver position. I like Rondale Moore's chances, especially for the first 6 games of the season. That's because DeAndre Hopkins is going to be suspended for those games. So more targets for him there, more room for him to grow and to, develop into a major cog in that offense. Also, Christian Watson would be an interesting pick if he fell. Could end up being the number 1 receiving option there in Green Bay in just his rookie season. If not, it could be Sammy Watkins, which would be interesting as well later here in this draft. I think Sammy Watkins is really underrated right now. Okay, 4 more picks before me. Let's see who we have here. Robert Woods is actually underrated too, in my opinion. A lot of people are talking of Treylon Burks as the potential number 1 receiver for Tennessee this season, but I think it could very well just as well be Robert Woods this season. So there we have Christian Watson, Singletary, Woods there. Let's see who cheat sheet likes. Likes Watson. So we're going to go with him. All right. Watson, we loved at the Senior Bowl. Oh, coming back around quick. You know what? I am just going to go ahead and take Robert Woods right here. I was talking about both of them and how much I like them and how underrated I think they are. So I'm going to go ahead and draft them. So Christian Watson and Robert Woods. Robert Woods had, kind of a down season last year, kind of injury riddled, but I think his presence in Tennessee is going to be good for him, going to be good for Ryan Tannehill. I think he's going to be somebody who can rely on. He's a very reliable receiver, good chain mover, and can, get downfield. I really do think he is going to compete with Traylon Burks for the number one receiving position there in Tennessee. I don't think anything's going to be given to Burks. So right now we have a really deep team, in my opinion. I like this draft quite a bit more than the one Alex did with me last week, at least so far. Let me know what you think of the team so far. Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman, Rashad Bateman, Christian Watson, Robert Woods, and then TJ Hawkinson. It's a pretty stout draft so far, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Probably be good for me to add some running back depth here. Let's look at some of these running backs who are available. We got James Cook, little brother to Dalvin. That'd be fun to have both of them on the same team. Rashad Penny, who, we've seen has top 5 upside in that Seattle offense. We saw in a stint last season him really produce well. He had a little hamstring injury last week, but he's back to practicing right now, so he seems to be in the clear. So hopefully Penny falls. If not, Damian Pierce would be nice. We really liked him at the Senior Bowl this year. Very dynamic, explosive player, built, stout, like a bowling ball almost, but, really explosive, really athletic. Okay, so Penny's gone. See some other running backs who are there. Ronald Jones, like I said, I think is going to take away some of Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's thunder this season in Kansas City. He's an efficient back. As much as we've hated him, or as much as Alex has hated him in RosterWatch for years now, Jones is actually one of the more efficient backs in the league, with the touches that he gets. Then we have behind him Rashad White, who we liked. Oh, just got taken. Rashad White, we also liked at the Senior Bowl a lot. Big guy who can move and catch the ball. It's like we got Isaiah Spiller behind Jones. Isaiah Spiller, who I went to the A&M Pro Day and actually watched Spiller. I actually met him. One of the nicest guys that I've met in this process. I really root for him. Let's take a look at the cheat sheet. Who they like there. It's going to be Damian Pierce. There we have it. I like it a lot. Damian Pierce, rookie running back out of Florida. GM there in Houston says they're not going to, give anything to Pierce, but I don't think it'll be too difficult for Pierce to take it. Just really has Marlon Mack in front of him. Marlon Mack has been underrated as well, though. I think they're both going to get plenty of touches there in that Texans offense, especially with Davis Mills under center. I think he's going to be more of a game managing quarterback. I think there's going to be lots of carries to go around. Okay, so my pick again from the players we have here. Let's see. I'm actually going to go Rob Gronkowski here. Maybe feel like going out on a limb a little bit, but I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to play for Tampa Bay, and I think he's going to be good. So let's recap the team undrafted so far. Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Damian Pierce, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman, Rashad Bateman, Christian Watson, Robert Woods, TJ Hawkinson, and Rob Gronkowski. I really like this team so far. Oh, thanks, Joannis. I like it too. Seems to be maybe going a bit quicker now in these later rounds. Let's look at some of these other players who are going to be available possibly in next go round. I don't know. Maybe Spiller will fall. I actually like his chances in LA. I was talking about him a bit before I had to deviate for the pick, but Spiller, one of the nicest guys I met. And also, I noticed he was limping a little bit at his pro day, and I think that lended to his dismally slow 40 time. But just watching his tape, you can see how dynamic a runner he is, how he's got a lot of good lateral movement. I think he's going to be good in the NFL. Don't know if he'll drop to me. But if he doesn't, let's look at some of these other players behind him. Like I said, David Njoku is back there. I think I might take him with my second pick kind of in that turn if I can. I think I would really shore up the tight end position because I really think looking at my team now, that's really where we have the most questions. But if, Spiller falls, maybe even in James Robinson. I think James Robinson's being slightly undervalued in these drafts right now. A lot of talk about Travis Etienne, what he's doing in the backfield, but he's been used a lot as a pass catcher so far in OTAs. So I think Robinson's still going to get a lot of those in between the tackle carries. All right, so 4 picks before me. Hoping for Spiller and Njoku, or maybe Robinson and Njoku. But let's see who the cheat sheet likes. I mean, just looking at this, they like Allgeier out of Atlanta. I like him too. I like his chances. Doesn't have a lot of competition there. Oh, and it's me. You know what? We'll go with what the cheat sheet likes here. We'll go with Allgaier. Oh, actually took Spiller for me. I was too slow. But I really wanted Spiller over what the cheat sheet said, so just as well. Then I'm going to take David Njoku here. So I think that'll be the last tight end I take. So I think it's going to be all running backs and receivers from here on out, unless, something glaringly obvious occurs otherwise. I would rather have Njoku over Higbee to stack with Stafford. Not necessarily. I already have the Cowboys stack. Pretty good, but yeah, adding Higbee to that mix, it wouldn't be bad. I think after our dynasty rankings update yesterday, I think I'm maybe just a little bit in love with Njoku right now. But yeah, if I really wanted to make that stack, I could go with Higbee and Stafford there. I just think Njoku with Watson. I think Njoku could have a career season if everything goes to plan. And I wouldn't be the trash man if I didn't get a little trashy here and there. All right, so let's look at some of these other players who are available. So Robinson's still there. I think he's underrated right now. Gus Edwards, he's been injured, but could see a lot of touches this season. Robinson just went. Khalil Herbert is somebody I'm really interested in fantasy this season. As the receiving back, third down back, potentially for the Bears. He could actually be their first two down back, too. I think he might even be a bit more dynamic than David Montgomery between the tackles. He actually, I think he had at least 72 yards in all the games that he played, started for last season, started for Montgomery when he was out. I think Montgomery had games over 72 yards or 75 yards only 4 times in the entire season. So Herbert was a bit more efficient with his carries, a bit more productive with the carries that he got last season. I think this is going to be a run-heavy team, the Bears this season. So I really like getting Herbert where I can. Okay, some more players who we see available here. Sammy Watkins there in Green Bay. I already have Christian Watson, but it could turn out that Watkins is actually the number one option there. Let's see who the cheat sheet likes of this lot. Okay. I'm actually going to deviate a little bit. I really like Wan'Dale Robinson of the Giants. So I'm going to go ahead and draft him. He was one of the really best all-around pass catchers going into the draft, in my opinion. He's a little bit smaller of a guy, a little bit smaller build, but really productive in college and just really dynamic on the field. Okay, and here, let's see, running backs, cheat sheet. We're going to go with Gus Edwards here. It's not sexy, but sexy doesn't always win fantasy. Okay, it's going to be a minute before it's back around to me. Look at some of these other players who could be available. Raheem Mostert, Miami. Oh, I kind of want to keep my hands off of all Dolphins running backs right now. It's a running back by committee of New England-like proportions. So it's not something I really want a part of. Brian Robinson Jr., they're out of Washington. He was somebody who I noticed at the Senior Bowl. Good in between the tackles runner. Don't know how much opportunity he's going to get there in Washington right off the bat this season, though. So just looking at these guys now who who could have good fantasy years. Like I said, Sammy Watkins could be the number one there in Green Bay. We don't know yet. We have Marlon Mack there in Houston, the competition to Damian Pierce. He could end up being the number one back there. In fact, he might start off the season as the first option there. Jared Goff. I can't touch Jared Goff with a 10-foot pole. I just can't do it. Okay. Dante Foreman, when was the last time that Christian McCaffrey, played a full season? It's been a minute. Dante Foreman, as we know, is a really capable back. Could end up making some starts this season. Taysom Hill, that might be an interesting pick, as a tight end who could end up getting points out of the quarterback position. Further down the line, we have Justin Ross at KC. Really, it's anybody's guess who the leading receivers are going to be there in Kansas City this year. Sky Moore, I think, has a really good chance to end up being the guy that really pops off for Kansas City this season in his rookie year. He's kind of a Mr. Do Everything there in college. And they definitely have the targets available in Kansas City right now. Okay. So almost me again. All right. Based on cheat sheet. Like Dante Foreman here. Okay. I don't hate it. All right, so I'm going to take a wide receiver here, I think. This next pick. I'm going to go with my boy Paris Campbell. I've been talking about him ad nauseum for the past few weeks. And we just found out yesterday in Colts practice, he caught, 8 out of 24 of Matt Ryan's passes, a third of the passes. So I did some math there for our dynasty rankings update. And, if you average out Matt Ryan's, career passes and like a third of those, it would be like almost 13 targets a game. I don't think you're going to see quite that many attempts by Ryan this season. But if Campbell gets anywhere close to, double-digit targets per game, he was one of our favorite receivers in his draft year. One of the most exciting, most explosive yards after catch guys in that draft. He just, had a series of unfortunate injuries so far, but he's coming into the season so far healthy. And if he stays healthy, he could really make some fantasy waves, especially in PPR formats this season. So he's somebody I really like. Other players who I like, I mean, Byron Pringle, now of the Bears, formerly of Kansas City, when he was a prospect, he was somebody who really kind of jumped out the screen literally to me. One of the most athletic receivers in that draft. And he was actually Kansas City's second leading receiver last season. Oh, and there we have it. So let's go back and take a look at this draft. Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford at quarterback, then Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Damian Pierce, Isaiah Spiller, Gus Edwards, Dante Foreman. To help out with that stack, we have CeeDee Lamb, that Cowboy stack, CeeDee Lamb, then Michael Pittman, Rashad Bateman, Christian Watson, Robert Woods, Wan'Dale Robinson, Paris Campbell. All guys who I think could end up being, their team's leading receivers. And then at tight end, we have TJ Hawkinson, who I love but don't love his quarterback, Rob Gronkowski, who I think could have another banner year there in Tampa Bay when he decides to. And then David Njoku out of Cleveland, somebody who they're really investing and really depending on to produce this season with Deshaun Watson, hopefully. Anyway, there you have it. That's been my Best Ball Mania 3 draft here on UnderdogFantasy.com. Hopefully you enjoyed the process. Hopefully you joined me in the process. If you did, hopefully you drafted a great team. Anyway, I'm going to be doing these drafts once a week here on out. Trying to do them Thursday mornings around the same time. So please come join me again. We'll hang out, talk shop, talk whatever you really want to. I don't know. I'm interested in a lot of different things other than fantasy football, but we're mainly going to be talking about fantasy football. Anyway, there you have it. This has been the Trashman on behalf of RosterWatch.com. Till next time, be ready. Thanks, Joannis. Good to see you. Good to talk to you. Good to meet you. Thanks, Ivan. Hopefully see you again next week.